Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
A wonderful Monday morning. It says 29th day, the month of July 2024. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. What a delight to be back here. It's a new week, feeling all fresh and bringing all of that energy into this very promising last week of the month of July. Just a matter of barely 48 hours before it is 1st of August, which is the 8th month of the year. So again, our time is moving real fast. I was talking with colleagues yesterday. I was asking, is it possible I'm the only one who feels the month of July has been pretty fast? But that's what it is, because I remember I got a handful of messages on the 1st of this month wishing me the best of July and so on and so forth. And now it's just a matter of barely 2 days before I get another round of wishes for the month of August. And that's great to know. So we have to be grateful for the life we've got and make the most of it. It has to count for something significant across generations. All right, so it's a Monday, and across the city of Abuja, Nigeria's capital, weatherman says it's going to be showers of rain, which has started already. Some of us had our fair share of it this morning, commuting to work, and then temperature is going to hover between 22 and 23 for today. So if you live in Abuja, please be sure to stick with the weather, dress for it, prepare for it. Don't make it an excuse for not doing your parts, whether for yourself or for the community. All right, so for those who live in other cities in this country or anywhere in the world, be sure that you stay in touch with what the weather is saying, the trend, all right? So that way you're not caught in the middle, all right? It is what it is now. But back at home, we're looking beyond weather. We're looking at several other issues, including insecurity, for example, because people have to be alive. People have to be in the best frame of mind to be able to do whatever it is they want to do, to be able to add value and change society one day at a time. Not some very good piece of news is coming out from the North, Kebbi and Borno in particular. Boko Haram being on the rampage again, in one of the instances attacking a police station and cutting away arms and ammunition. Well, did I hear you say this has got to stop? Yes, we've said that for a little over a decade, but we're still here fighting this and believing strongly that at some point we are able to surmount these, and then the country will come into a much better phase. That's our belief in this country, because we've seen how much insecurity has depleted agricultural outputs in the last 1+ decade. We've seen how it has destroyed education in the sense of it. Of course, the adverse impact of insecurity on health cannot be quantified as well, all right, across this country, whether it's the northeast, the northwest, or even some part of the north central. Imagine a place like Plateau, for example. Just imagine a Plateau in the last 1 year in particular. I see how much of work the governor there has had to do with regards to his determination to also ward off all of these criminal elements as well. At some point, 1 or 2 local governments have seen curfew imposed on them, just as part of efforts to ensure that this is all nipped. But we still hear cases, we still see pockets of these attacks here and there, including on military formations, police stations, and so on and so forth, right? So these are issues we've got to deal with, and people must be held accountable. Just in the week that was, we were told that some 100+ terrorists have been convicted or were being tried, 120+ of them. We want to see more of that happen, because you can't run a family, you can't run an organization or a system where people don't get held accountable. By being held accountable, it's not a way of saying you have to be violent, you have to bring bitterness and bad blood. No, it means that people must take responsibility for whatever choices they make, decisions they take, and of course, the impact those actions and decisions have on the entities for whom they are supposed to provide leadership. It's as simple as that. All right, so you can't attack a community, you can't prevent people from going to their farms and then expect that you'll not be held accountable for it. You sure will, unless if you have a broken government in that society. Of course, you have to be brought to book one way or another, particularly in the eye of the law. That's how it works, all right? Okay, but the way it works on the show is we get to talk to you about food at some point, particularly at the top of it, so that we can get you on the right path as we make progress into global morning. Let's talk pancakes for a minute. We have Chung Anamel Joseph bringing us all of those juicy details.
Good morning and welcome to Taste and Texture. Today we'll be making homemade pancakes. Homemade pancakes have the perfect texture, fluffy on the inside and crispy on the outside. Made with ingredients we always have at hand, like flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, milk, eggs, and butter. While they are delicious on their own, you can customize them with your favorite add-ins. Once you try from scratch pancakes, you will never look at boxed mixes the same way again. Homemade pancakes are just as easy to whip up and taste so much better. For the ingredients you need: all-purpose flour, spoon into measuring cup and leveled off, baking powder, sugar, salt, eggs, milk plus more if necessary, unsalted butter, melted and slightly cooled plus more for cooking, vegetable oil for cooking. Now, the step-by-step instruction in making your pancakes. All you need is a large bowl. Whisk together the flour, baking powder, sugar, and salt. In a medium bowl, whisk the egg and milk until evenly combined. Pour the milk and egg mixture and the melted butter into the dry ingredient and whisk until just combined. If the batter seems too thick, add 1 to 2 tablespoons more milk. Heat a large griddle or non-stick pan over medium heat. Coat it lightly with vegetable oil and swirl in a thin part of butter. Ladle or drop the batter onto the griddle using approximately 1/4 cup of each pancake. Cook until the first side is golden brown or until the top surface bubbles and it's dotted with holes. Flip and cook until the other side is golden brown. This happens quickly, so pick after 30 seconds and watch carefully. Adjust the heat setting if necessary. Wipe the griddle clean with a paper towel between batches. Serve immediately. Now your homemade pancake is ready. Serve immediately with maple syrup and enjoy. That is all for Taste and Texture today. Bye.
Thank you, Chung Anamel, for again whetting our appetites today and giving us a reason to want to try out pancakes. She just keeps bringing all of those ideas our way, and then we have no excuse not to try some of them. But as you pursue your dream today and try to make this Monday count for something for you, for your family, for your organization, for the cause that you love to pursue, please know that you've got to keep your health in check. Somebody said when people feel burnt out and tired and lacking momentum and enthusiasm, most times it could be because they are not prioritizing their health, whether it's mental health or physical health. Life has to be about balance. Yes, 24 years into a new millennium is a bit more challenging now than it was several years ago for you to find balance. But see, we still have a responsibility to find our balance. It can be work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Nobody does that, all right? So we've got to understand that we have a body we must preserve, we must nourish, we must love and cater to so that we can deliver optimally on the job that we have to do. Even if you're a driver you're a commercial driver, that is, all right? You have to drive a truck from one end of the country to the other. You've got to find a time where you have to lay your head somewhere. You have to relax. You have to reflect. You have to find a way to disconnect from that work thinking. That has to happen once in a while. Otherwise, you may not have the mental energy and the focus to stay on track and then make progress in that line of work where you have found yourself, all right? But Nigeria has also found itself now in a very interesting place. That's the word I can find off the top of my head, which is with regards to the protest now that has been proposed to begin on the 1st of August and then is set to last till 10th of August. Now, what's the protest about? We understand the organizers saying it's protests against economic hardship. So they want to protest to drive home a couple of demands. First of all, they want the government, in this case again, federal government, to understand that times are difficult and the prices of essentials, food, groceries, and what have you, are shot right through the roof. And as such, they want government to get a message. They're also saying that they want certain things to be reversed. For example, fuel subsidy, they want it reversed. Recall that on the 29th of May, during his inaugural speech, President Bola Tinubu had removed fuel subsidy very categorically, and right from that afternoon, the price of fuel never remained the same. As a matter of fact, speaking of fuel, this morning, the papers are reporting that PMS, of course, petrol as we call it, is now selling in some parts of the country for as high as 1,300 naira to a liter. All right, and they say the major reason is that fuel depots across the country are running dry. And if you look at town yesterday morning, this Sunday, right, you see at least across FCT, there were queues all over the place, and some filling stations didn't even have the product to dispense, or at least they told us they didn't have the product in stock. So these are some of the things the protesters say they are pursuing. So they said it's going to be nationwide, and then it's going to be the kind that drives the message home. Now, the government and Nigerians are not so clear about what the modality will be, what the modus is going to look like. But then there's palpable fear, unless, of course, you have not followed the news in the last 5 days to 1 week. Last week, the president himself, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took out time to meet with critical stakeholders, beginning with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and of course, he met with leaders of his party as well. Just on Friday, the All Progressives Congress, that is the ruling party, also met with all its state chairmen across this country to chart a way forward as regarding how to deal with this issue, how to address it. Now, it is a bit protracted because on the one hand, we're told that citizens have an inalienable right. That is to say that the rights, as we say in pidgin parlance, is follow come. In other words, it is inherent. You can't take it away from them to protest as long as such protest remains absolutely peaceful. So it has to be a peaceful demonstration. Of course, Nigeria as a country is not need to protest. But why is this one different? Some people say because there's anger, and that anger is fueled by hunger. So it's more like Siamese twin, they say. So they say that's the major reason for this protest. Others say that political consciousness has evolved over time. Therefore, these protests forms a basis for concern for not just government, for other citizens. For you to know how that concern, how concrete it is, just for perspective, as of this morning, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada have issued alerts, what you might call advisories, to their citizens in Nigeria to say, look, we're afraid you have to take precaution. There are places you shouldn't go to. You have to be double careful. And then, of course, just know that there's the likelihood that if, with a big if, this protest goes on, there will be looting, as we have seen with a couple of other protests in recent times. But again, what has government done to be able to nip this in the bud? I just told you what the federal government has done under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. And then, of course, you also have governors, you have traditional rulers, you have religious leaders, including Khan, for example, saying that Nigeria at this time is in a very sensitive place, and as such can't afford to add fuel to fire by going on with these protests. Will that hold water? Will it change anything? Has it changed anything? Are people listening to all of this? I mean, citizens, are they buying into these vehement calls to shelve and shun these protests? I'll talk to you about that after this short break. Just stay with us.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
This last weekend as well, Vice President Kashif Shettima has also taken our time to talk to young people in particular about how that this is not the time for protest. It should instead be a time dedicated to development for Nigeria. As a matter of fact, he says, look, protest has never solved problems anywhere in the world. And the president's position is very valid. I mean, examples are replete across the world, whether it's in Africa, Europe, or even the US and the United Kingdom. At the end of the day, the actors themselves, whether the government or the protesters, still had to come to some sort of dialogue. We have seen that play out in Nigeria as well, whether it was in 2012 or in 2020. But again, the government has a lot more work to do because it is 29th of July already. August 1st is barely 48 hours away, and we hope that whatever happens, Nigeria remains strong, prosperous and progressive, because this is the country, the only one that God has blessed us with, and we can't afford to destroy this blessing by ourselves. And the government is as proactive in this regard as possible to ensure that not only does the protest not go on, but that even if it does, it remains as peaceful as possible in such a way that in the end, the message will be passed, no lives will be taken, and properties will not be destroyed in such a way, again, that it will be a peaceful demonstration by every definition. We'll take another break that will allow us to bring you the AM news. And when we return, we'll bring you big headlines from across national dailies as well. And then our conversation will be on the road for you. Do stay with us. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Animal Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. We would like to remind you that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365. Vice President Kashif Shettima has pleaded with Nigerians to shun the planned nationwide protest scheduled to begin on August 1, 2024, stating that it is time for unity and focused development in the country. Speaking at a wedding ceremony in Maiduguri, Borno State capital, the Vice President noted that protest has never been a solution for nations to solve their challenges, but rather an avenue for destruction of human lives and properties, calling for peace and unity. Meanwhile, Kano State students have cautioned against the proposed nationwide protest over the high cost of living. Chairman of the Kano State Students' Council, Yahaya Usman Kabo, alongside other officials who addressed a press conference at the NUJ Press Center in Kano, called for patience and dialogue. Kabo, who sensitized the students to shun the protest, alleged that it is being sponsored by those who lost the election in the 2023 general polls. He noted that Kano State students under his leadership have dissociated themselves from the planned protest or any form of anti-government demonstration, stating that the president is already tackling the challenges. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says he has yet to receive an application for the use of Eagle Square, Abuja, as a protest ground. Wike spoke at a town hall meeting in the Federal Capital Territory where he dissuaded residents from participating in the nationwide protest built for August 1 to 10, dubbed 10 Days of Rage, which is to protest the economic hardship. Stakeholders, including the presidency, federal and state governments, traditional and religious leaders, have appealed to citizens to shelve the demonstration. The All Progressives Congress has urged organizers of the planned August 1 nationwide protest to shelve its agitation to have President Bola Tinubu scrap the 1999 Constitution as amended. The ruling party disclosed this after a closed-door meeting with the Forum of APC State Chairman to discuss the modalities of the proposed protest at the National Secretariat here in Abuja. Samuel Odi has details for us.
The protest, scheduled to hold from August 1st to 15th, has generated tension and mixed reactions among Nigerians in the past 2 weeks. The ruling party, through its National Secretary, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, insists that for the renewed agitation to have the president dump the constitution which he vowed to protect will amount to a mission impossible course. The president alone does not have the power to dump the 1999 constitution. Bashiru's statement was a response to one of the 15 demands of the organizers of the proposed hunger strike protests.
First, they said scrap with the Nigerian constitution and replace it with the people-made constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria through a sovereign national conference followed by a national referendum.
In the last 2 decades, the need to change the Nigerian constitution has become a hot debate among several state actors and elder statesmen. The ruling party therefore appealed to Nigerians and the organizers of the scheduled protest for August 1st to 15th to give Mr. President time to work on revamping the economy. Samuel Odi reporting for Global Television News.
Oh, thank you so very much, Samuel. Ahead of the proposed nationwide protest, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoku, has directed Force Tactical Commanders to withdraw personnel from non-essential duties, prioritize public order, and ensure sufficient armed personnel to be on standby for easy mobilization in case of eventuality. The IGP gave the directive during an emergency meeting with commanders of tactical squads comprising the Police Mobile Force and others in Abuja. Presidential candidates of the Labour Party in last year's general election, Peter Obi, has thrown his weight behind the planned nationwide protest over the current economic hardship. Some youths are planning a nationwide protest between August 1 and 15 against the rising cost of living and what they call economic hardship. Speaking after a meeting with Governor Alex Oti of Abia State, Obi, however, said protesters must carry out the act within the ambit of the law. Abuja's original inhabitants under the aegis of the Abuja Aborigines Network have thrown their weights against the planned nationwide protest slated For August the 1st, President of the 6,000-member-strong network, Dr. Donald Amagbo, sought dialogue instead of protests while speaking after an anti-protest town hall meeting called by Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The Jamaatul Nasrul Islam, JNI, and other stakeholders in the North have urged government representatives, civil society organizations, and citizens to engage in open and inclusive dialogue to address the underlying issues and concerns that may drive protests. The coalition of civil society organizations in Kaduna State also announced its withdrawal from the planned nationwide protests, but urged President Bola Tinubu to do the needful as the country progresses. These 3 persons have been confirmed dead in the building collapse in Jigawa State. The public relations officer in the state's DSP Lawan Adam, in the statement, confirmed the fatalities, noting that 4 persons had sustained injuries. The government has resumed work of uncompleted sections of the 375.9-kilometer Abuja-Kaduna Zaria-Kano Highway. Minister of Works Dave Umahi stated this during the flag-off of the completion works and handover of the 38-kilometer dual carriageway section of the road to Dangote Group. Umahi, in a statement by his special advisor on media, Oji Uche, of the project. Of 80 years, he died at the residence in Badiko, Kaduna South local government area of the state. His funeral was held at officer 8. His funeral was held at officer and a woman friend. The terrorist arms and ammunition were carted away by the rampaging insurgents. The terrorists were said to have stormed the police station at about 1 a.m. where they engaged the security agents and fled after 2 hours of operation. Petty and bad notes and other large sums of money awaiting examination, which, according to Serap, are kept in various branches of the Apex Bank. In the suit filed last week at the Federal High Court, housed across its branches since 2017. Children and wards to avoid participating in the planned August 1 hunger protests. Tinubu Ojo spoke with market women in Yoruba, urging them to warn their children about the dangers of protesting, citing the destruction caused by previous protests, including the EndSARS demonstration. She emphasized that Lagos State government has made significant progress and deserves support. Tinubu Ojo also noted that the federal government, headed by her father, should be given more time to prove itself before being criticized. You're watching the AM News, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When the AM News returns, UN says what's yet to come is Southern Africa's once-in-a-century drought. We will bring you these and other stories right after this short break. Please stay with us. Television, bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. We appreciate you for your time with us. And now let's turn to business. The federal government, in partnership with the United States, has signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at strengthening commercial and investment ties between both countries. The agreement was signed on the sidelines of the 2024 AGOA Forum in Washington, D.C. by Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, and the United States Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo. According to a statement from the ministry, the Memorandum of Understanding aims to deepen bilateral commercial and investment relationships by enhancing the business environment, facilitating private sector-led trade and investment projects, developing direct business relations, and implementing actions for a mutually beneficial trade and investment partnership. The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria and Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria have pledged their support for government's recent initiative to impose a 70% windfall tax on foreign exchange gains accrued by banks. During the association's 4th Joint Council retreat in Abuja, Its president, Samuel Agbeluyi, stated that the new tax policy will help address the widening fiscal deficit and bolster national revenue amid ongoing economic challenges. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it has disbursed $148 million to 29 authorized dealers as part of steps to stabilize the foreign exchange market amid the recent free fall of the naira. A statement posted on the Apex Bank's website revealed that the sales were made to the dealers on Monday, July 22nd and Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, between an exchange rate of 1,470 naira and 1,510 naira to the US dollar. The regulatory bank also noted that the authorized dealers include banks and bureau de change operators. A new report by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) has indicated that power distribution companies in the country made 291.62 billion naira in revenue in the first quarter of 2024. This is as the power sector regulator has barred Nigerian bulk electricity trading from entering into any new contracts. Let's turn to Southern Africa now as we take you to the foreign scene. A record drought that has devastated crops across Southern Africa, causing millions of people to go hungry and pushing 5 countries to declare a national disaster, is entering its worst stage. That's according to the United Nations. The UN World Food Programme says it expected the number of people struggling to put enough food on the table to increase as the lean season, the period between harvest when food is scarcest, gets underway.
Basically, when you go now at this moment to rural productive areas of Southern Africa, what you see is a devastated scenario. The maize is totally dry and down, it hasn't grown, and the people are really trying to find for themselves what to do next to be able to feed their families, to feed themselves, and to maintain themselves a normal livelihood where they are. Very, very complicated because we have had a very extensive drought period. In fact, some records say that this is the biggest drought in 100 years. And we have had a very low rainfall over the last months. So the situation is that the harvest has been mostly lost in many countries of Southern Africa. The governments are very worried.
Castro noted that other countries like Angola and Mozambique might follow soon or signal the gap between the food they have and the food they need. Japanese and U.S. defense chiefs and top diplomats have held talks in Tokyo on further bolstering their military cooperation, including by upgrading the command and control of the United States forces and strengthening American licensed missile production in Japan in the face of rising threat from China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin joined their Japanese counterparts Yoko Kamikawa and Minoru Kihara at the Japan-US Security Consultative Committee known as 2+2 security talks to reaffirm their alliance following President Joe Biden's withdrawal from the November presidential race. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for urgent and concerted efforts aimed at dealing with extreme heat and climate change. The Secretary General's call to action on climate heat brings together the diverse expertise and perspectives of 10 specialized UN entities in a first-of-its-kind joint product, underscoring the multi-sectoral impact of extreme heat.
It's summertime. But the living is no longer easy. This has been a week of unprecedented heat. First, the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service declared Sunday, July 21st as the hottest day on record.
Guterres stated that the impact of heat wave has taken a tremendous toll on most parts of the world, including Africa.
Scorching conditions have killed 1,300 pilgrims during Hajj, shut down tourist attractions in Europe's sweetbox cities, and closed schools across Asia and Africa, impacting more than 80 million children. Of course, summer heat is as old as the hills, but the World Meteorological Organization, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and others have documented a rapid rise in the scale, intensity, frequency and duration of extreme heat events.
The call for action is an effort to enhance international cooperation, address extreme heating for critical areas, caring for the vulnerable, protecting workers, boosting resilience of economies and societies using data and science, limiting temperatures rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by phasing out fossil fuels and scaling up investments in renewable energy. The people of Venezuela are voting in the presidential election whose outcome has already given a third term to incumbent President Nicolas Maduro. Polls opened yesterday at 6 a.m. local time. The number of eligible voters had been estimated to be 17 million. That was according to some ballots data that came through yesterday. In sports, Nigeria's players in the men's table tennis events of the ongoing Olympic Games lost their matches in the first round of the competition. Quadri Aruna lost 3-4 in his round of 64 match at the South Paris Arena to Edmond Noshu of Romania. Aruna's hopes of repeating the Rio 2016 quarterfinals performance went up in smoke when the 20-year-old Ionescu made its thrilling Olympic debut for himself. Lorenzo Colombo has scored 2 first-half goals and Macho Nasty netted the game winner to give AC Milan a 3-2 victory over English Premier League champion Manchester City in New York. Nasty lifted Milan ahead to stay in the 78th minute. The 20-year-old Italian striker taking a century pass from Belgian right wing Alexis Scharmecker and making an inside right foot blast into the goal. Gabriel Martinelli scored for Arsenal in the 81st minute to give the Gunners a 2-1 victory over Manchester United in a friendly at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Danish 21-year-old striker Rasmus Højlund opened the scoring in the 10th minute for United. Marcus Rashford lofted a clearing pass down the left wing and Højlund took the ball and battled Arsenal defender Aiden Haven into the box where he got a step ahead and blasted a goal between the legs of Gunners goalkeeper Carl Hayden. Arsenal's Gabriel Jesus netted the equalizer in the 26th minute, the Brazilian tapping in a pass from a point-blank range as the Red Devils appealed in vain for an offside call. And that's it on the AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, on Global Television. Just a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. And shortly we'll bring you a continuation of Global Morning. Good morning.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about About the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. We are definitely because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
for insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodou.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us on the program this morning. Time to turn to our national dailies for you. But before we do that, my colleague Queen Agaba has just joined on the program, and together we'll take you through this ride for the next 1 hour, 50 minutes. Queen Agaba, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm sure you had a beautiful weekend.
And you're going to ask
always.
that. Yes, I had to take responsibility for making it beautiful, and then for also making it count in such a way that I can look back and have some pleasant memories about it.
Yeah, that's good
Right.
to know. With the rains, and then a whole lot has been happening over the weekend. It's been talks about the protests and about how the organizers of the protests are faceless. You know, I saw a video of the FCT minister addressing the protesters who have refused to show themselves, show their faces, and take proper permission for use the Eagle Square for the protest. And he's saying that, you know, he's linking the protest to election losers who wants to, you know, push out this government because they lost the elections, and so they're engineering the protest. So it's been a whole lot of talks about the protest. People are talking about security, that different angles to the protest. Those who would most likely hijack the protest for their selfish reasons, to cause mayhems and all of that. But the talks have been more and more since the weekend, and I want to know what you think about the protest.
It's, for me, I think it's a matter of, first of all, understanding that the protest is not just about the 2023 election, all right? Of course, people can speculate on the basis of that as well and say, well, there's some bad blood that has not been cleared from that protest, and persons have not healed from the process and the outcome regarding that particular electoral exercise. Yeah, there is that, okay? But you must also realize that, as I said at the top of the program this morning, Nigeria is not a stranger to protest of any kind, beyond partisan lines, beyond who is in power at that time, and so on and so forth. I think most people can readily remember the 2012 protests. Of course, there was the NSAS protest, and so on and so forth. But as of today, this instant case, what we find is that there are dissenting voices. There are people who are talking from a place of sentiment and emotions, not from facts even. In fact, there are those who cannot even defend what they're saying. But I think we want to focus on those who are saying that we should realize the country is ours, whether you're on the government side, as it were, or on the protester side. Now, if you destroy the country, the question is, where do you go to? Yes, people may always find reasons to protest. The question is not even whether they should protest or not. So let's be very clear. Because we all know that it's a no-brainer. People have the right to protest. It's enshrined in the Constitution. It's not a gift. It's not a handout or some favor. It's a right everywhere in the world. But the government's palpable fear is that this protest could be exploited by criminal elements, self-serving entities, whether they're politicians or some non-state actors or even hoodlums, all right, to unleash mayhem, cause chaos, and just drive society insane within a few hours or a couple of days. That's the fear. The president himself has said that much. He says, look, I've been in protest for a while. I know how this works, all right? So I'm not against protest. Neither am I afraid of it. But we're always saying that this should not spiral out of control. Ordinarily, the protester should be able to write to authorities, whether it's the police or the DSS or state governor, local government chairman, including the FCT minister himself, to say, we want to use such and such facilities for our demonstration. Because, of course, it's going to be peaceful, it's going to be rancor-free. In which case, the law enforcement agencies have a duty, not favor, a duty to provide them cover on the one hand, and then on the other hand, ensure that the protest is not hijacked. But we're not having that conversation because we seem to be more political about it than anything else.
You know, I think that I'm tempted to ask the question: why do we not have the faces? Why are these protesters, the organizers of these protesters, not known? It could be that these people feel like the government could somehow arrest them or make efforts to ensure that the protests do not hold. Because what we hear out in the news, because we see people who were who were agitators or who were focal in the NSAS protest, who were influencers on Twitter, who were engineers as well of the NSAS protest, who reported online, a lot of their accounts were suspended. We see quite a number of them, and it happened just recently, I think a few days ago, in the build-up to the NSAS protest. So people are saying that it could be, because why are their accounts suspended now that there's a protest about to happen in a few days away? I mean, on Thursday would be 1st of August, and then the protest will begin. So why are their accounts suspended? These are the reasons why these protesters, the organizers of these protesters, will not want to come out, because they feel that the government might work against them now that we have a protest. But anyways, we would talk about that.
I'm glad you even mentioned the NSAS protest, by the way, because whether you like it or not, even though this protest has not gotten on the way, you still realize that elements from the NSAS protest are already very visible. They are already playing out in ways that are subtle at this point, right? But in all, we must realize that lessons, very valuable lessons, some of them maybe lifelong lessons, were learned from the NSAS protest, both by the authorities, that is government, and the people, whether you were involved in the protest or you were just in your house watching television the entire time. All right, but we must realize that, see, there are instances we can also take a cue from. There are countries who have done this kind of protests. We must be dispassionate enough to go back and ask ourselves, how did they end up with our protest, and where are they today? I'll give you an example. In the case of Egypt, during the Arab Spring, there were Silicon Valley executives, that is some of the top-ranking tech executives from the US who are from Egypt, who came all the way to Cairo, all right, to join our protest. By the time things went south, they flew back to the US, went back to Palo Alto in California with their families, and whatever is happening in Egypt now almost doesn't affect them. I'm saying that to say that when push comes to shove, the country that has been subjected to that protest will pay a price one way or the other, whether the government or the people. So we're saying, is it not possible to still explore a dialogue at these points, all right? We don't want to burn the house down because we don't like the color of painting. That's the point.
Absolutely. This definitely will be a topic for discussion in our review.
Right.
But we'll bring the papers now quickly for you, and you begin with our first one.
Let's see, our first one this morning is the Daily Sun. The first headline is just adjacent the nameplate of it, all right? It says, Nnamdi Kanu's release will reduce tensions, Southeast monarchs tell Tinubu. That's again another angle to this protest conversation we're having all over the country right now. Nationwide protest fallout. Senators, reps, politicians desert Abuja, travel abroad. Reminds me of that voice in most skits online that says, "Why are you running?" All right. But then there are several writers here, about 4 of them you can also look at, tied to that headline. Windfall tax, banks' stocks rise as investors lose 1.3 trillion naira. NAF airstrikes destroy 1.2 illegal refining sites in Abia, Rivers. Support Dangote refinery to end fuel queues. Ex-NDIC boss is the one to whom that headline is credited. NDLEA arrests Spain-based businessman with cocaine consignment concealed in sandals in Lagos. What's more this morning? Sanwo-Olu Amuka Oshoba Obaibina to attend Jakonde annual lecture tomorrow in Lagos. Right, bottom left of the front page. Let's see what it says, or let's look at the foots of the paper itself. At the foot of the paper, it says, Waya Ohaneze summons emergency NEC. Of course, leadership has to be put in place as quickly as possible, but that's the much we have for you from the Daily Sun. Let's turn to Daily Trust for you, because it's a daily affair this morning.
On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, big story we have there says, we have quite a number of stories. It says, Zamfara lawmaker, ex-local government chair, district head, nabbed over kidnapping. Maida says he's our colleague. Majority leader confirms. 3 community leaders facing panel of inquiry, and banditry coming to an end, according to government of Zamfara State. This story right here makes me wonder when we talk about issues of kidnapping, banditry, and all of that, where we have lawmakers and local government chairs, pioneering these affairs, championing the affairs of kidnapping in the state. What becomes of that state when people who are supposed to safeguard the states, who are supposed to be heads of these states and local governments, are the ones that are engineering kidnapping in the state? So you can tell. I like that in Zamfara state here, these people have been nabbed and the justice is brought to...
It's being served,
It's being served, yes. Justice is being served, and that they are used as scapegoats, so that sometimes we keep wondering why we have impending cases of kidnappings and terrorism, banditry, and all of that, when lawmakers... So who do people take cues from? Who do people take examples from, lead by examples? The other time we were here talking about drug abuse, drug trafficking, and all of that. It's because this came to the limelight that we know that local government chairs and even lawmakers are actively involved in kidnappings like this. If it hadn't come to the limelight, we wouldn't know that there are cases like this of people in government that are cheering, the affairs of these insurgents.
Right.
Likewise, drug trafficking. So I think that lawmakers need to be proper eyes needs to be kept on people in authority here. But who gives that check? Who ensures that we have a long way to go in terms of security and and all of that. Anti-protest campaigns heighten Obi backs demonstrations. Boko Haram attacks military and police in Borno, kills officers and IDPs. Protest. Senator Barrow appeals to promoters, says President Tinubu making genuine efforts to tackle challenges. Patients decry shortage of nurses and doctors in Kaduna hospitals. Private jets rise from 44 to 157 in 20 years. Federal government to pay 633.3 billion naira subsidy as discos rake in 291.6 billion naira in Q1 2024. And beneath the papers, we have local government autonomy. Fate over 2,000 LCDAs hang in the balance. These are the stories that we have on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Our next point of call will be the New Telegraph.
Okay, let's bring you the New Telegraph real quick now, everyone. We begin with the headline above the name masts of the New Telegraph, all right? It reads, Nigeria, U.S. sign MOU on investment commerce. That's the New Telegraph. Okay, and then you bring it down a little, the left corner of it, front page. NAF, we destroyed 72 illegal refineries, 2 reservoirs in Abia Rivers. And one has a picture of Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State here. It says Sanwo-Olu, Amuka, Oshoba, Obaigbena to speak at Jakonde Memorial Lecture. That's a lecture in memory of former Lagos State Governor Lateef Jakonde. You were planted as a mole in our party, LP tells Okonkwo. Of course, we know Kenneth Okonkwo says he has dumped the Labour Party. Remember that he came from the All Progressives Congress, the APC, joined Labour in the build-up to the 2023 election. And then, of course, he threw his weight behind the candidate of that party at the time, Peter Obi. But now he says his confidence in Obi has waned because, amongst other things, he says he had expected Obi to have been a bit more vehement, maybe a bit more aggressive. I'm not so sure about the context within which he says that, but he has left the party, and now the Labour is, as we say on social media, clapping back and saying that you were planted as a mole. In other words, you were a fifth columnist, as they say in defense, all right, in our party. So I don't know if that's Labour's way of saying good riddance or bad rubbish, but he has left the party now, and he has the right to. Let's see where he pitches his tent next.
I feel like he would still be back to
the Labour Party. Why do you think so?
He is, we see all that he agitates for, and the much of his weight behind the Peter Obi in the build up to the 2023 election, and even after the elections, we saw how much that can only come from a place of, he was particularly, not necessarily because Peter Obi was vying for president, but the person of Peter Obi first, and then the economic challenges that we've had over time. And much of what he said was about leadership, particularly in Nigeria.
Beyond party lines.
Beyond party lines. And so if Kenneth Okonkwo is leaving the Labour Party, I don't see any viable place where I think he would be able to, throw that much of his weight following all that he agitated for in the build of the 2023
How do you find the confidence to vouch for Nigerian politicians so much?
I don't vouch for him, but I look forward to seeing where he, he chose his weight.
I'm curious myself. I'm curious, but let's see what happens, because there had also been speculations that Obi could leave the Labour Party, and people asked where then would he go. Others said, well, there's a chance that he could form some sort of alliance with other top shots in the political landscape. Some persons mentioned Atiku Abubakar, others said Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. So the speculations have been on, and again, 2027 conversation is already a front burner issue for many politicians right now. So we just wait and see how it all pans out, all right? But then the big story says, August 1 Youth Rage. That's on the New Telegraph front page. August 1 Youth Rage. Government at crossroads as tension rises over planned hardship protests, with about half a dozen riders there for you. All right. Let's go to the bottom of the paper. Nigeria's private jet ownership rises to 157 from 44 in 20 years. Task Force. Okay, NLNG's chartered vessel arrives Nigeria for maiden loading to Portugal. Swallowing chewing gum can raise health risk. That's according to study on page 27. So for those of you who love to bubble gum all day, the study is for you, right? But then it takes us to the next one, which is the Nigerian Tribune, Monday's issue.
On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, big story we have there says, planned protests, senators, reps join last-minute mediation. Rider says, Peter Obi reviews those behind protest. CPPE cautions against likely economic impact, says it could inflict daily loss of 400 billion naira. Access Bank wins Euro Money Awards for excellence. We have how chartered aircraft operators rip off Nigeria. And then we have the picture of the Minister of Aviation there. NAF airstrikes destroyed 12 illegal refining sites in Abia, Rivers State. Ekiti 2026. Why I won't contest again, Oyebanji Bamidele. Why I won't contest against Oyebanji, says Bamidele. Uncertainty over 1.2 trillion naira deep sea port project, according to investigations. And we have NDLEA recovers Spain-bound cocaine consignment from businessman Sandal at Lagos Airport. Ethnic nationalities to Tinubu apply doctrine of necessity to rescue Nigeria. Indigenous shipping reps stress need for amendment of NIMASA Act. And lastly, on the Nigerian Tribune, we have why federal government's palliative will not address food inflation, according to agriculturists. Of course, there have been stories about how the dole out of bags of rice and palliatives to different states, the trucks of rice to different states, merely cosmetic measures and may not, hold any, may not be able to address food inflation. And then pragmatic and practical efforts and decisive measures needs to be taken to be able to address it, and not just palliative measures, because they consider it as just basic and cosmetic.
Pedestrian or superficial.
Yeah.
All right, let's do something a bit with some depth now. Daily Times newspaper is what we turn to next for a few more headlines this morning. All right, above the name plates of the Daily Times, Southeast Development Commission, stakeholders, Lord Deputy Speaker Kalu, And then I just sent it on the the left end, right? Southeast traditional rulers seek Nnamdi Kanu's release. Now we're hearing political solution is the way out, not a legal tussle anymore. Proposed nationwide protest while we demand details of organizers, police. Two writers says Nigeria police holds responsibility to ensure that any activity does not pose threat to national security. Threatening protesters undermines Tinubu's legacy, Amnesty International. Say no to protests. Kalu cancels constituents Abians in Igbo as Tinubu gets a standing ovation for signing Southeast Development Commission SEDC bill into law. And then on the foot of the page, Tinubu's wife calls for collective efforts of Nigerians to drive innovation, improve human capacity. Those are all the headlines for Daily Times for you today. Then you want to take a look at those papers as well, so you can have a hang of news this morning.
Our next point of call will be the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper, big story there says 2 years after PIA, NNPCL struggles with over $5.3 billion loans, JV debts and commercialization. Outcry as telcos bar lines days to see mean deadline. It happened. The deadline. I remember when there were talks about NIN registration and enrollment, SIM and NIN enrollment. I did it. There were measures, I think there were links sent on how, and even messages sent as to how to enroll for NIN, right, and link your NIN to your SIM card. And I remember doing it, only for me to wake up in the morning yesterday and discover that my line has been bad. There was no means of communication whatsoever. And only for me to find out that it wasn't just me, it was the rest of the people in the house as well, whose lines were bad because of the NIN. And so I understand the panic, why Nigerians are panicking and crying out loud because the deadline has not been met yet. And why are
lines being bad?
Lines being bad.
I want to believe.
Particularly because I know I did link my SIM card with my NIN, so I do not understand why my line was bad, as well as a couple of other people whose lines were bad as well. They had measures taken to ensure that their SIM cards were linked to their NIN. So we're wondering why the lines are bad, and when there's no deadline yet, there were no messages sent, maybe a message or two sent that their lines will be bad, so that we know where we stand. As it is, there was no message sent, no prior memo. We just woke up to bad SIM cards, so it's worrisome.
It is, but this didn't start today. I recall some 12, 13 years ago when the issue of SIM card registration became the rave, sort of. I mean, I like to do things in good time. I don't like last-minute rush and all of that. So I did mine. I recall that over time I had to register my line up to 4 times. The same line I've been using since 2007, March of that year. So I don't know if it's a system error or human factor, but whatever it is, it doesn't look good. You may say, okay, well, back in the day, we're still trying to find our way around the process. But this is, 23 years into introduction of GSM in Nigeria. Data has been here for more than 20 years. I mean, internet and what have you. We've had high-speed internet, at least starting with 3G for more than 10 years. So how do we still have that? And I'll give you an example. So I also regularized my NIN. I mean, linked it with my phone number and all of that. I woke up on Saturday morning, I had been barred. I can only get calls, but I can't make calls. I can't use data service. And then I had to check, because you can check your NIN status. I checked, and my provider tells me that it is my line is NIN linked. And I realized that a bunch of people across this country are having the same experience. So how do I go to my provider's customer service center, spend maybe half of the day there when I have work to do for which I get paid and things like that? So I think the NCC has to intervene as quickly as possible as a matter of urgent importance, as legislators say, so that it doesn't become a disaster in itself. Because if we don't take care of this, the next thing people will say is because they believe young people will go on protest. That's why the authorities have to bar lines. So let's do the needful. I mean, I'm not protesting, I'm working, so I need to enjoy the service I pay for. All right, so I think that needs to be addressed real quick.
This particularly can also fuel the agitations to protest from young people, because they think that while we're talking about influencers being
having accounts
banned on Twitter and suspended on Twitter, particularly days to the protest. And now SIM cards are being barred as well. Your lines are barred without prior notice or a memo sent. They think, I know I spoke to a couple of people yesterday who think that this is a means to restrict them some sort from going out to protest, restricting forms of communications, because they seem to have linked their NIN to their SIM. And so why are SIM card barred at this point in time? So like you rightly said, I think the NCC needs a lot to do, and then the National Identity Management System, the
NIMC, right?
Commission, I beg your pardon, they have a whole lot of work to play. I saw a link that was sent by the NIMC. I clicked on that link trying to link my NIN to my SIM. I did, it was successful, but I discovered that I still couldn't make calls. I had my face captured. I did that this morning as well. I had my face captured, you know, it showed that it was successful. I tried to reach a couple of people, I couldn't. And I tried, you know, I told a colleague to call in so that I see if I can still make calls. So I'm wondering,
were you able to get a call from someone who called?
No, I wasn't able to. My line, no, I can't make calls. I don't get calls as well. So my line was barred. My line has been barred since yesterday, and I can't make calls, I can't receive calls. And even after clicking on the link, because I had to connect to a Wi-Fi, after clicking on the link and doing proper registration again, of which I know that I did. Based on the recommendation of the NIMC. Of the NIMC. And I did that. It was successful. I was told it was successful. I did a lot of verifications, emails, OTPs and all that, and it was successful, but I still cannot make calls. I want to believe that this is not a system error from the NIMC, or, you know, and that because people who have linked their NIN to their SIM cards still having to suffer the same of this, you know, SIM cards being bad. So whatever it is, the issue is, I hope that it gets fixed sooner than expected, before people begin to see this as, you know, the effort of the government to sabotage effort of people who may want to protest, or this might even stir up necessary
agitation, right?
Agitations or unnecessary agitations. It could be one of it, because they might think that the government is against them. On the front page of The Guardian, we still have the risks, danger of planned national protest. Bandits attack Borno police station, kill and loot Amori. Peaceful Gobber polls not certain in Edo and Ondo, report warns. Concerns as Nigeria loses 6 trillion naira to tax waivers yearly. Serap sues CBN over missing 100 billion naira dirty notes. And lastly, on The Guardian newspaper, we have supports Dangote refinery, reduce petrol scarcity, ex-NGIC MD tells regulators. These are the stories we have on the front page of The Guardian. The Nation happens to be our next point of call.
All right, we'll take a look at The Nation newspaper for you real quick. From the big story, recapitalization, 5 banks in capital market to raise 1.26 trillion naira. That's a lot of money to raise. Investors get huge opportunity to expand scope. That's a rider to that story. But then about the nameplates, CBN clears next of kin to claim funds in dormant accounts. Reports indicts private airlines of regulatory infractions. Kamala Harris campaign raises $200 million in 1 week. That is faster than Joe Biden could have achieved, actually. Etu Danjuma and others join my mobile board. What's more, 6 months of steady economic progress under Tinubu. You have that on pages 2 to 4 of the Nation newspaper today. Leave Lagos out of it, NLC tells protests promoters. And then at the foot of the page, Kenneth Okonkwo dumps OBLP to killed in Boko Haram's attack on police station. Okay, sad story, no doubt, but then we must look at other papers for you. The Punch newspaper, it is next.
Front page, big story on the Punch newspaper. It says, hardship protests, US, UK, Canada issue security alerts. Traders fear looting. Foreign missions foresee violence as federal government OBGFA on protest sponsors. Fuel rises to 1,300 naira per litre as depot runs dry. Only NNPCL can bury Dangote Petrol, according to IPMAN. And SIM-NIM linkage. Telcos begin final mass disconnection. Federal government scholarship beneficiaries rights minister faults 56% funding out. We also have LH Telecoms acquires majority stake in Nine Mobile. Victim under pressure to drop police station rape case. And lastly, on the Punch, court orders 1 billion naira payment to Oceanic Bank's ex-staff.
Okay, then we have next here the This Day newspaper, all right, and we are bringing it to you this day. All right, so let's look at the one above the name mast quickly. Fitch, inflation has peaked in Nigeria, will moderate below 25% by year end. I think the World Bank or IMF had also hinted at that before now. BUA meant to increase production capacity to 20 million tons per annum. Presidency, Tinubu's government will put Nigeria on sound economic footing despite problems. The writer tells us, says President in full support of peaceful protests, peaceful being the operative word. 3 days to a nationwide protest, Nigerians still divided on action. IGP, why protesters must register with police. Kwara Ogun governors, Barrow seek understanding. Peter Obi endorse countrywide action. Can Nance ask members to shun protest? CSOs accuse FG of blackmail, intimidation. PTD, Nupeng chasing political relevance. And lastly, from this day, says LH Telecoms takes majority stake in Nine Mobile. Okay, what's more? Well, nothing more beyond going to the Vanguard newspaper quickly. For you this morning.
Front page of the Vanguard newspaper, quite...
which is the last for
yes, the last,
the show, right?
For the show. Big stories, hardship, protest organizers dig in. Rider says, BC cautious, CAN warns federal government, protest organizers as well. Obi backs planned protest, says hunger and hopelessness are sponsors. Stop criminalizing and politicizing protests, Lukman tells Tinubu. And quite a number of riders we have there as well. And then we have Abuja politicians behind banditry and killings in Benue. According to Governor Alia. Governor Alia has come out now to say that politicians in Abuja are behind banditry and killings in Benue State. This is not hard or difficult to believe, looking at what we've seen over the past few months in the news, where we have lawmakers and local government chairs championing the affairs of kidnapping in some states. And we see that happen again and again. And for Governor Alia to come out and say that politicians are behind these killings, it means that to an extent he must have seen certain things, and he must have been confident in his facts for him to have come out to say that governors or some politicians in Abuja are responsible for the killings, because these killings and banditries that we see, particularly in Benue State, have been happening for a while now. And for people, it must take some level of influential people who have the money, have the power, or even have the resources, talk about tools and what have you, mobility and all that, for them to have been able to consistently send people out of their heritage, out of their villages and where they've been for decades, you know, and they're sent out, they run out, leave their farmlands and all of that, and we see kidnappings, killings happening on a steady in Benue State. And now Governor Alia has come out to say that he is saying that politicians in Abuja, maybe high placed, are responsible for these killings. I want to take what he said very seriously.
I have concern when I hear governors or highly placed people talk like this. This is not the first time. We've heard this from one governor to another. We've seen coin in this country where a sitting president has said, we know those behind this bombing. We have their names. It is several years down the line. We have not seen those behind the bombings. We have not seen their names. We have not seen any prosecution. We have not seen anybody sent to jail or something. The point of all of this is executives, state executives, in this case, governors, must be careful the utterances they make. If you say they are Abuja politicians, which means you know them. If you know them, you have the police, you have the DSS, you have all the security agencies whose mandates includes dealing with issues of insecurity. So why do you have to be telling us? What would Benue people do with this information going forward? I mean, you are blessed to have come from Benue, for example. What would Queen Agaba do with this information? Now, what's the point? The point is this. As a governor, it is a no-brainer that you get classified briefing virtually every other day, just like the president. I mean, briefing within your states. The commissioner of police briefs you, director of DSS briefs you, the commandant of the NSCDC briefs you. So you get all of this briefing. Even the army briefs you regarding security situation in your states. What are you doing with this? When you sound like this, people feel you're trying to be political. They even feel they know the people you're. Keep the information, Mr. Governor, all right? Make use of it. Allow Benue people go back to the farm. That's what we want to hear at the end. Because 3 years down the line, because in less than 3 years, he would have won out his first tenure in office, hoping that he wins a second term. What would Benue people say at the end of your first term about what has happened with insecurity between when you took office and now that you're done with your first term in office? It will not matter that you knew that it was Abuja politicians that were behind it.
What will matter is what critical steps you
exactly.
Take
What did you do with that information? Right.
I think that he's trying to. I want to believe that Governor Alia here. This is one of the steps, calling them out. But we want to see the
beyond calling them out.
Beyond calling them out, we want to see you mention them by their names. You know, call them out like you say, call them out with your full chest, and yes, let them face the words of the law. So if you say that Abuja politicians are responsible, you have your facts, you have details intact, you know them, you know. So the next line of action will be prosecuting them.
Right.
You know, so we want to see that happen, and we want to see Benue people go back to their farms.
Incidentally, that's the much we're bringing from the papers this morning. We have to take a quick break, everyone. When we return, we'll put our first discussion on the road for you. That's everyone. Let's get talking. On the program this morning, we're joined by Abdurrahman Aliaga, National Secretary of Nigerian Guild of Investigative Journalists, NGIJ. My only concern now is I'm not sure I pronounced your second name.
Very well.
I tried,
Very
right?
well.
It's good to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so permits myself and my colleague, Queen Agaba, to spend the next few minutes just having a small talk about where we are as a country, all right? As of this morning, for those who have followed the papers, you realize that the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada have already issued advisories to their citizens who are based in Nigeria to say, look, you have to be more than before very careful. That's number one. Number two, they say there's the fear that it could be looting should these protests happen. Isn't that adding salt to injury?
Yeah. You know, protest, let us first and foremost look at it from the constitutional angle. We discovered that Nigeria constitution provides for protest. If you look at fundamental human right, you discover that number 4 of that right is right to assembly, freedom of association, and if constitution, which happens to be the first contact when it comes to legitimacy, as provided for this, then the next thing is that what are the prospects and the consequences of the protest? Now, we look at, before this protest, it is expected, or even before the issue of protest, it is expected of government to look at the areas where citizens can have a sense of belonging in governance. We all agree that the most pervasive political ideology world over is democracy, what we can equally call modern democracy. And this is not without its paraphernalia: freedom of speech, good governance, consistent election, and so on. Now, if we have chosen democracy as the system of government in Nigeria, why can't we adhere strictly to what this same democracy brings to us? We cannot say we are practicing democracy and in a side where it favors government, where anywhere that democracy is favoring the masses, the leaders look other side. And it has become a kind of culture that if masses have not protest against any government policy, hardly government look at masses' side. So, to me, like UK, US, and other foreign countries, advising their citizens that they should be very careful and they should take their security priority. Yeah, it is expected of any country that has the concerns of its or our citizen at heart. They give that advice for them to take protection. But I want to tell you that if government is sincere, there could be protest without violence.
Is that possible, given the history we have had in protest?
It is very, very possible. The issue is that citizens must be aware of government policy. Go to the street, ask an average Nigerians, what is the program of the government of the day? If you sample opinion of 10 people, hardly you can see 2 or 3 that is acquainted with what government programs are. Now, a citizen that is not being carried along, it is not given a sense of belonging, how do you now manage that citizen? And the reason why I said, if government is sincere, there could be a protest without violence. It's a matter of dialogue. Even when the protest is even on, if government or government representative can, maybe before the issue of protest, there should be sensitization, orientation about government policy. And if these are not there, then for it now becomes government now becoming jittery because protest is about happen. And like I said, our government history has shown that if there is no pragmatic approach or action, our government they don't listen. I check the pages of newspaper today, particularly the Sun newspaper. Right. The senators, House of Representatives, politicians, they are traveling abroad. Why? If they have done it well, why should they be running away from their responsibility?
But just before my colleague starts saying, Abdul Rahman, this is, from what I understand, give you a narrative, you're saying this protest has to go on. But that's I mean, I'm deducing that's what you're saying. I mean, so long as it is peaceful and it doesn't get violent. And you say, if government wants it to be peaceful, it can be peaceful. But you see, protests, like they say, I mean, our people say it's like a war. You know when it starts, you don't know when it ends, you don't know what dimension it will take. And Kenya readily comes to mind in this instant case. When President Ruto introduced the executive bill to bring reforms into the tax system by way of reviewing it upward, I mean, he never knew it was going to turn out to be what it is today. As it stands right now, we probably have lost track of how many lives have been taken, those who have been injured. As a matter of fact, young people across Kenya are now calling for the resignation of President William Ruto. While on the one hand, we are saying it is the IMF that is playing out its card in that East African country. You can't take away the fact that Kenya is, is deepening, so to speak, in terms of economy, in terms of social development, infrastructure has been depleted the last couple of weeks and so on and so forth. God forbid 1 million times that these protests goes on and it gets hijacked. Where do you see Nigeria?
Yeah, nobody is expecting any protest to go violent. Nobody is praying for that. But what I'm trying to say is that this is not the first protest that is coming up.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria. The issue of NSAS, we all knew the politics around it. Up till date, we still have some people, as a result of NSAS protest, in one jail, one correctional center or the other. What are their offenses? Because citizens must feel entitled. And the moment their entitlement, they are being denied of their entitlement, lies problems. Government has security architecture. Police is there, army is there, road safety and all other paramilitary agencies. What I'm trying to say is that if government is sincere, they can deploy all these apparatus to ensure that that protest is free of violence. Because
yes, go ahead.
It has happened in Nigeria where there were protests and there was no crisis. Mr. President himself has involved in so many protests in Nigeria.
And he made that same point a few days ago.
So, if this same agitation, protest, has channeled a way for you via democratic agitation, today, if we are to say President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to me, is the first Democrat that Nigerian would have as president.
Why do you say that?
The reason why I said that was that, one, we knew his history, track record of emancipation, advocacy for democracy and good governance. Now, it is his turn now. It is assumed that he wants to fall the ladder that he rode to the power. Because it's not a news, or it's not saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a Democrat. He was humiliated, took cover to asylum in abroad, and he fought for, is one of the fighters that fought for the democracy that we are enjoying today.
In the military days?
Yes. And part of what he used as tool is this protest.
But can we not say, just for fairness, that the rules were different then, because he was up against a strong military junta, whether it was IBB or Abacha and so on and so forth. But in this day, I mean, we know the military is not very friendly with consultation and dialogue and all of that. They are not interested. They rule by fiat, by decree and all of that. But in this day and age, the president says, for instance, let's come to a dialogue. Let's have a conversation.
Sir, it is still about good governance. When military was in power, what Nigerian citizens were expecting or expected at that time was good governance. I want to tell you, if military are giving government with an appellate of good governance, nobody will be rising highbrow. But the point is that the philosophy of military government is obey the last order, which is not huggle way with Nigerian people or with global approach. That is why we are now looking at democracy. It is globally acceptable system of government. But you cannot say take what democracy brings with one right hand and use your left hand to throw away the same thing that the democracy we are enjoying brings.
I think we want to talk to you about something.
You know, you talked about dialogue. What is expected of this government is to engage in dialogue. But for the most part, we've seen where we've had dialogue, talking about Nigerians enduring, making sacrifices for the past 3 months now when the president made that statement, and, you know, enduring that the prices of these commodities will come out as these policies are not automatic. But do you think that these protests would encourage dialogue? What makes this protest different from the previous protests that we've had, the protest in 2012 and then the NSAS protest this time around? Do you think that dialogue is foreseeable?
Yeah, there is no point that the use of dialogue cannot be foreseeable. You see, just look at the issue of minimum wage. You know, it took workers to go on strike before the government calmed down to the demand. And to me, it equally appears that the government has no specific goal. Why I say that? Before the government took over the government, the president, government of the day, one of the critical sector that is bringing untold hardship on Nigerian populace is oil sector. And the removal of subsidy is what has led us to this point. To me, in my own opinion, if I were the government, the best thing that they're supposed to do is to look at the oil sector critically and address the corruption in the oil sector. And if the corruption in the oil sector is addressed, I don't think the removal of subsidy is going to be an issue, because the corruption is endemic in that sector. And the moment the subsidy was removed, that was what has scattered our economic system. And an average Nigerian, we used to endure government policy. But more importantly, that is affecting daily economy, our individual economy. People that have savings have depleted savings. The capital, has gone to an extent that you cannot imagine how many people will call you for one thing or the other on daily basis. Where do we go from here? That is why I said, if protest is the only language that government can listen to or understand, let it take place, but in a peaceful manner.
We really hope that the protest is going to be peaceful, because what is focal for this protest now is hunger. Yeah. People are saying hunger is what is driving bad governance in Nigeria, particularly. But there are speculations, even the government has said it, that this protest is a means to overthrow the present administration, President Bola Tinubu, particularly as we're talking about hunger, but they've been the measures so far that we've seen from this administration to put an end to hunger, or to, help mitigate the adverse effect of some of the policies and inflation that we feel is what is termed cosmetic, palliative here, palliative there. And moving forward, Nigerians have been patient enough, they say. Moving forward, what is going to happen because they say they're tired of dialogue, giving bags of rice here, bags of rice, to what end? And so this protest, what do you think would happen if this protest does not go as expected, or if the demands of the protesters, Nigerians, are not met in this protest? What do you think would happen moving forward?
Yeah. You see, dialogue is a very strong tool in democracy. But it is expected of government to have engaged people on dialogue before now. So it is not when the protest is, at hand, that will now begin to talk of dialogue. Yes, dialogue is key. And I still want to believe that dialogue can still solve this problem. But how many times has government come up with one dialogue or the other? With HASU, with trade union, and so on and so forth. ASUU demand is still there, unmet. Trade union demands are still there, unmet. Yes, dialogue is key, but government should cultivate an idea of not early warning, but early attention to people's plight. Because they used to say hunger is nobody's friend. And a lot of crimes and criminalities that is going on in our country today is as a result of hunger. If an average Nigerian youth gets, if not employment, there is what we call even underemployment. People can still manage. We are country of people that endurance has become part of our system. The bag of rice during Jonathan, I could remember very vividly, was 7,500 naira. But today, I picked one about 2 days ago, 76,000 naira. And this 76,000 naira is the minimum wage benchmark to tell you that Nigerians are still enduring, even after this money. But if government is sincere, it shouldn't be at the point of protest that they should be, listening to the concerns of citizens. But I believe strongly that dialogue can still address this issue. There is no way we can erase the issue of dialogue in any issue.
I'm glad you made a continuous reference to the issue of dialogue because we understand that just this weekend the president has had a couple of meetings, high-level meetings at that. He has met with leaders of the different religions of the country. He has met with traditional rulers. He has met with politicians. Critical stakeholders, as they are called, just to ensure that they also become part of the calls for saying, look, let's shun this protest, let's dialogue, let's give the president some more time to do his work, and so on and so forth. But in all of this, it still means that there are issues we need to speak to, but we're going to look at all of those issues right after this short break. Do stay with us, everyone.
Thank you.
Global television is people's television. It's for the people. They focus on the contents of deliverables.
Watching Global Television, channel 365 on your DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs. Hey!
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs.
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, a station to watch for current affairs and other societal news. Keep watching live.
Watching Global TV on DSTV channel 365, where don't touch it now, just watch.
This is Global TV. Keep watching on channel 365 on DSTV station and listening to the latest updates. Yay!
This is Global Television on DSTV, channel 365. Keep watching. Yay!
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Abdulrahman, I'd like to ask you this. Just a while ago, before we got on that break, I talked about how that the president has met several key stakeholders to also bring them on board. Some people say what the president is doing is scratching the surface, but one would have thought otherwise, because most of these people have influence within their own domains, whether they are religious leaders or traditional rulers. Do you think that effort is a step in the right direction?
Yes, but it is expected that it should have come earlier before now.
So he came late?
It came late, but it is still not too late. In any country, we have critical stakeholders. Among the critical stakeholders is a religious leader, traditional rulers, youth sector, and government. So there should have been a kind of dialogue, even or sensitization about government policies. Citizens should have known before now that this is the policy of our government. And there should be a kind of orientation, just like we have a National Orientation Agency. And kudos to Mr. Larry Onilu that is cutting the shot in that agency today. If you look at their program now, it's like National Orientation Agency is just awakening to their, responsibility in informing people about government policies. You know, if government policies are understood by citizens, we have our own reasoning faculties. We can read in between the lines. There are some programs that will take some time. And there are some programs that's supposed to come immediately. So that when we read in between the line, we can now allude to the fact that maybe this government is a serious government or not. Yeah. If you look at this issue of student loan, we know that, in education sector, government has taken something there. If we look at other economic sector, like the government is importing millions or thousands of metric tons of maize, rice, millet. Some economic experts, they have talked on that, the implication of that effect, of that policy on economy or Nigeria's economy. Meeting stakeholders is a right thing to do and is good thing that Mr. President is doing. But I strongly believe that it should have come earlier before now. And I equally agree that it is not too late. That dialogue is still in the right direction. But where do I expect Mr. President to look critically into is this employment. Because if an average Nigerian youth is gainfully employed, I can tell you the issue of crime, the rate of crime and criminality will reduce drastically. Yeah, they say there is no society without crime. But how can we reduce it to the barest minimum? That is what any sincere government is or should be working towards. There is no employment. The price of commodity is unbearable.
Mr. Abdurrahman, thank you very much for your contributions. But we must not take away the fact that Nigerians are agitated, quite frankly. Like you mentioned a while back, ago, a bag of rice is now over 80,000 naira. They're about 70,000 naira, 80,000 naira. And the price of fuel, I read in the papers this morning that fuel is now 1,300 naira. In fact, the sad thing is that these prices are not regulated. That is, people are just deciding to sell at their rates, whatever it is that they want to sell. And it is sickening because Nigerians cannot even go to the market with a specific amount of money to say that this is what you cannot even draw down a budget. This is where we stand now. Let's not talk about other things, other gas, the price of gas, the price of tomatoes, sugar, basic necessities, transport. Also in the news where I watched a video of a woman lamenting about how she cannot give her child a certain amount of money as transport to school because, you know, she's not even certain if that would take that child to school. So Nigerians are basically crying and they're agitated. You can feel the agitation. I also went into the market, had conducted a few interviews, and I could see the pain from market women who are talking about commodities, essentials, and the prices and how unregulated the market is. Talk about gari that we consider basic. It's not luxury. So you feel the pain, you see the pain because not just feeling it, you see it because you're a part of the system. And so you know what it is like. And so the agitations, even the government has speculated that this protest is a plan to overthrow them, like we see in what happened in Burkina Faso. Do you think that the outcome of this protest will destabilize the government or possibly overthrow the present administration?
Yeah. Like I said, or I believe, Nigerians are not interested in overthrowing any government. Yeah.
So what do they want?
Nigerians want good governance. And I can tell you, the moment they even see that the green light of good governance is there, I can tell you all this agitation will calm down. You know, it has become a tradition that when government speaks, it's as if they don't work, they are not working, they are talking. It's just that they just want to hang you somewhere so that they have their way. Unfortunately, all this government, the people are the helms of affairs. If you are a DG of any agency or parastatal today, you don't buy fuel from your pocket again. You don't buy food from your pocket again. The agency or parastatal take care of everything. From bottom of government offices to the top. They already acquire this wealth. They are not spending from it. it is the masses that we go through series of laborers, work, that we still pay to feed the rich. Where do you place this? So, like I said, Nigerians are not interested in overthrowing any government. What Nigerians are agitating for is good governance. I can tell you, let the price of rice come to like 30,000 naira now. I can tell you all this agitation will come down.
Do we see that happen in the course of the protest? How do we see that green light now? We're talking about the protest playing out, you know, in a few days' time. How is it possible to see that green light? Do we get an announcement from the president that the bag of rice, if by so and so period of time does not come down to 30,000 naira, we can go ahead with another protest?
Yeah, it is still in the hand of government. They have all agencies. The radios are there, the televisions are there. Let citizens be acquainted with your program and policies or projects. The bag of rice, even the one that Mr. President imported, I saw a video clip where they are rebagging it. The government, it was branded in government logo. But they are rebagging it. If you go online now, you will see it. Where somebody was saying that, look at what is happening. This is the government rice that is expected in the market. It's in one shop or one warehouse, rebagging it. And when they rebag it, they bring it to the market and sell it to this bogus amount.
We are going to end this first discussion real quick now, so we can talk about second focus. But I just want to ask you this, with a big if President Tinubu were to address Nigerians today or tomorrow, do you think that will pacify these protesters?
I can tell you, it will. In fact, what Nigerians wanted, they are expecting Mr. President to speak to Nigerian populace. And, you know, Nigerians, we are so believe in persons. With the office of Mr. President, if Mr. President can come out in a broadcast and tell Nigerians the reason why we are going through this, and these are government programs and projects. And I can tell you, it will at least calm that tension. And Nigeria, we want to listen to our leaders. They are not there to tell us what their programs are. The next thing is they are traveling abroad.
Mr. Abdurrahman, Nigerians have also been urged to shun the demonstration, the protest, the proposed planned protest. I'll give you an instance now. Some people who were very instrumental during the EndSARS protest of 2020. It
was 2020.
2020, yes.
Right.
2020. Those people who were instrumental during the EndSARS protest, we see that their accounts are suspended now on Twitter for no just cause, no particular reason. They were just suspended. Most of them that we see very instrumental during that protest. And now as well, a lot of people, their lines were barred without prior notice or any memo sent out. Their lines are barred. Do you think that this is an effort from the government to ensure that these demonstrations do not play out?
Now, with all you have just said now, are you seeing government being sincere?
But government is not the telecoms operators. I mean, these are privately owned, privately run entities.
Government is not, but the government is still regulating it. There is nothing any network provider can do. If Nigerian Communication Commission says do this, that because they will be telling them that it is a security issue. And no business owner, when government say this is bringing, has a security issue underneath, they have to respect that. But that one is just, to me, is like a waste of time. Those people are still talking. Omoyele Sowore still gave even locations where these protests are going to take place in Nigeria. So they are still talking. There are so many channels of communication. That is not what is expected of a sincere government. Dialogue.
But in all, anyway, Mr. Abdulrahman, we believe all of that still stays in the realm of speculation because we kind of substantiate. But we're taking a quick break quickly, everyone. And when we return, we'll turn our attention to the, as I would call it, disturbed and embattled oil and gas sector of the Nigerian economy. Do stay with us. Thank you everyone for staying. For staying with us. Let's turn to the Dangote refinery controversy that has again plagued the oil sector in the last couple of weeks, with calls at some point for the NNPC to buy out the facility, even though some people say that was just him actually calling the bluff of the NNPCL. But let's talk about the PIA. When the PIA was, came into force, just about 2 years ago, a lot of persons said it was going to be Uhuru, it was going to be Eldorado. But today we understand that not much has changed beyond the unbundling of the traditional NNPC as we know it now to NNPCL and a few other subsidiaries here and there for the purpose of regulation as a whole. What exactly do you think are the underlying problems with the Dangote refinery? Because this was not the conversation we had in May of last year when former President Muhammadu Buhari opened that facility.
Yeah. It is still Nigeria system, and it is still politics that is being played around Dangote refinery. Why I say that? We all know that oil sector has been tagged with cabal long before now. I want to believe that with the advent of a Dangote refinery, I want to believe that Dangote should be a celebrant by now. We should all be celebrating Dangote for that gigantic project. But you know, Dangote cannot operate on its own. It still have to operate under the regulation. Government regulation or regulatory body. And to me, it looks like it is that same oil cabal that is at play, that they knew that if Dangote refinery should come into operation, all the corruption, the hide and seek game in oil sector will be uncovered, because we all know before now that we even have some people that they don't even have filling station, that they are getting oil contract. When the PIA was brought up, I think it came up during the Bukola Saraki time as Senate President.
Right. The PIGB.
Yes. It was expected that it has come to clear all the messes in the oil sector. But we forgot that it is the act cannot operate itself. It is still these same people that is going to give life to that act. But when the act was not lived, it remained a dead act.
People talk about, I'm sorry, I had to bump in on you for a second. People say there's so much of lack of transparency with this Dangote project. I'll give you an example real quick. First, they say, initially, the NNPCL had told Nigerians that Nigerian government had 20% stake in Dangote. But today, they are telling us it is 7.6%. Neither Dangote, as an entity, nor the government is telling us the circumstances that led to that plummeting. Why is that?
So, that is why I said the cabal in the oil sector. See, this is a public information that's supposed to be at the beck and call of every Nigerian. The asset that Nigeria as a country is having, or the stake that Nigeria as a country is having in the Dangote refinery project, while is becoming shrouded in obscurity. Why ups and down? The point is still that the government is not being sincere. There is nothing should be hidden. It's a government thing. And it's not a security thing that people used to say that security issues used to be, have been confidential. If Nigeria, you know where, if you have a share anywhere, you know what you have there. If I have a share anywhere, I know the percentage of my stake in anywhere I'm investing or having share. Why, if Nigeria has 10% stake in Dangote refinery, why can't that be in the public domain that anybody can access? And the moment it is not accessible, the moment I and you, we cannot be sure of what Nigeria is having, the stake Nigeria is having in Dangote refinery, then it becomes, it becomes, dark. We have been kept in the dark because we cannot say specifically this is Nigeria's stake in Dangote refinery.
Okay, Mr. Abdulrahman, with all of these issues and navigations around here and there, what is the future of the oil and gas for Nigeria?
See, just like I said, oil and gas has remained a clog in Nigeria's neck as a nation.
That sounds like a bad thing.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a blessing when we see it because of how rich Nigeria is. So how?
And until the corruption in that sector uncovered. Let me cite an example. As National Secretary of Nigerian Guild of Investigative Journalists, we wrote a letter requesting for an information from NNPCL. The leadership there now ask Afe Babalola Chamba to write us that the information that we were looking for is not with them, that we should approach agency that is responsible for that.
But is that not fair enough? If I don't have it, I don't have it.
Why Afe Babalola's chamber?
Okay, that was the concern you had.
Yes, because to me, that looks like a threat that maybe when they see our response from Afe Babalola's chamber, maybe that will send a kind of jittery.
Because the NNPC itself has a robust legal department.
What's the big deal? Okay, provide us with this, and this. And I don't think there is harm that, okay, we don't have this information you are seeking for with us. Approach this so agency of government. Why Afe Babalola Chamba? To write us that the information is not with the NNPCL.
Many oil and gas stakeholders in this country, including the current Group Chief Executive Officer, Melekeri, have been accused of having offshore refining facilities. Some of them in Malta. They say, of course, Global Television cannot independently authenticate that claim. But how worrisome is that? And again, you're asking yourself, don't they have the right to go invest offshore if they've done it by the books?
You see, you know, it is not today that Nigerians or the civil society organization, media organization has been prodding into the administration of the present GM deal of NNPC. But what happened? I'm aware, not about 2-3 years ago, this question of accountability, question of integrity has been around that man in particular and that office as a whole. But today, the man is still there cutting the shots for Nigeria. So that is where the future of oil sector in Nigeria is still blurry.
We need to expand this narrative a little, but then we are under obligation to take a quick break, and the rest of the program will return shortly. Do stay with us, everyone.
Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, we have been speaking with Mr. Abdulrahman Aliagan, who has been taking us through the prospects of the oil and gas industry and the challenges with the Dangote Group. Mr. Abdulrahman, Dangote have been quoted to say, if you watched his speech a while ago, to say he will fight, this fight. Do you see the Dangote Group navigating, in the future, future challenges, especially in the oil and gas sector? How do you see them scaling through?
When I started my response with politics in the oil sector, and I equally made mention of cabal in that sector. When you look at what Dangote has invested in that sector, nobody is expecting that this kind of dirty politics at the detriment of Nigerians' life will come to play. The reason is that it is expected that when Dangote Refinery begins operation, at least it will cut a drastic cost. Is it the cost of transporting the crude oil to refinery in abroad? Yes, government has 4 different refineries in different places. None is working. And an individual came up with working refinery. It has been tested and certified. But the politics, the Nigerian politics, oil sector politics, came up that the product is not meeting standard.
The sulfur content.
Are you getting it? But the Dangote was now saying that where is the laboratory that this content, his own content, was
examined?
Where is the result? And he brought them. I am aware the Speaker of House of Representatives went there on visit, and they took the Mr. Speaker around that facility, even the laboratory of that refinery. Dangote was now asking which laboratory is the product was examined. Where is the result? Because you cannot just come to the air and said a certain product is not meeting standard.
Because you're killing that brand. I'm afraid time will fail us to push this conversation beyond this point. We'd like to say we are very grateful for your time this morning with us on Global Morning. Abdulrahman Aliagan, National Secretary, Nigerian Guild of Investigative Journalists, for coming to help us find valuable perspectives this morning. And that's where we're leaving it, everyone. Thank you so very much for watching. Remember that the views of our guests are their opinions. Myself, Queen Agaba, and the entire team here at Global Television, I appreciate the time you spent with us. We do hope you got a return on investment. We'll see you again. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.